What is up, everybody? This is Adam. Welcome back to Fouled Out. Matt is going to be joining me in just a moment to talk about NFL Super Wildcard Weekend or whatever the NFL is calling this blatant cash grab of a playoff weekend where we have games on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's honestly, when they added the seventh team, I thought it was too much. And it probably is too much because it kind of waters things down a little bit. But I do enjoy having 3 nights of football and big games all over the place. We're going to bring Matt in. We're going to break down all 6 games for NFL Wildcard Weekend. We're going to do them in order and we're going to pick winners at the end. We're going to talk about narratives, then some of the on field matchups and where each team has the edge, and maybe a little gambling advice as well. We tend to do really good this time of year. We just came off of college football bowl season where I placed in like the 99.3 percentile for ESPN's Pick'em and won almost all of my bets. And now we're going into NFL playoffs, which is another great opportunity to make money. Before we bring Matt in, want to say congrats to the Michigan Wolverines, the college football national champions. As one of my best friends told me the other day, who's a big Wolverines fan, can't wait to vacate those wins after the investigations and everything that the Wolverines have been through this season. But I think rightfully the best team in college football improved it in a statement win against Washington last night. So that's fun. I live in Metro Detroit. Everybody's super happy around here. Opportunity to be the best week in Michigan football history with U of M winning the national championship and then the Lions having a home playoff game against Matt Stafford this Sunday. So super excited to talk about that. So let's go grab Matt and let's start talking wildcard weekend. Let's go. All right, Matt is here, fresh off of the Michigan Wolverines winning their first national championship since 1997, and kind of like sandwiched in between one big Michigan football game and another one because the Detroit Lions are playing a home game this weekend. Matt, how you doing, buddy?
Good off the heels of the victory. A little conflicted. Not so much conflicted, but like you don't see a whole lot of it on the internet with how people are Lions fans talk about the game, but there is nuance to how one can feel about this game coming up. So
Yeah, we're going to dig into that game in a little bit more detail later in the pod. As I mentioned in the opening, Matt and I are going to go through all 6 games for NFL Wildcard Weekend, kind of break them down and then pick some winners for you. But before we go to the first game, I wanted to announce that after week 18, I've officially won the preseason pick series. Whew, go me. I won win ranges, and then thanks to Green Bay Packers quarterback Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers playoff push, I edged you out in the playoff picks by one team, and it was the Green Bay Packers. What a wonderful time to be alive where not only did I hit that pick, but I'm suddenly right about quarterbacks being good after being wrong about it for years. So this is a wonderful time for me.
good is such a strong word. Such a strong word.
I see that you have not accepted Jordan's love in your
I
life.
no.
Hmm.
No, I have not.
He cares for you, Matt. All right. So first game, Saturday at 4:30 p.m. The Cleveland Browns are going to be visiting the Houston Texans. Cleveland currently favored by 2.5 points. Matt, Houston is going to win this football game. They just are. The Cleveland dick riding has reached critical mass at this point. And if this season has taught us anything, any single one thing to take away from this season, it's that when everybody's on your bandwagon, that's when you're going to lose. And that's where we are currently at with Cleveland and Joe Flacco. The media narrative has whipped itself into a frenzy. I've heard multiple podcasters this week saying that Cleveland is the only team in the AFC that can challenge the Baltimore Ravens. And I heard someone say they're not only the only team in the AFC that can challenge the Ravens, they're the only team that can challenge the Ravens because the Ravens already waxed the San Francisco 49ers this season. And they're like, that's it. If Cleveland doesn't stop the Ravens, nobody is. And I was like, all of this hype and everybody's talking about Joe Flacco and what a great story it is. Over 80% of the money is on Cleveland right now on FanDuel. Cleveland's losing this fucking football game.
Yeah, no, the only thing that can save Cleveland is Joe Flacco. Kevin Stefanski sure as hell is not saving this team. He's never done it before. I mean, as soon as CJ Stroud came back, the Texans perked back up. I'm with you, man. Like, this is a Texans team that is coming in with some steam, and they're not being talked about quite enough. If CJ Stroud hadn't missed a few games because of concussion, they probably walk away with the division.
I'm kind of surprised that we're on the same page because I didn't know how you were going to feel about the Browns coming into this game because it seems like so many people are buying into them right now. The Joe Flacco story has been awesome. Like, I acknowledge that it's been super fun, but I think that there's a chance that Joe Flacco just completely craters. Or like, remember earlier this season, Josh Dobbs like went to the Vikings and was just awesome for 3 or 4 games. Then all of a sudden he has that absolutely horrific game against the Bears. I could see that happening to Flacco at some point. And I just keep hearing so much stuff about how great Cleveland is. Everybody's picking Cleveland. Like I said, over 80% of the money is on them right now on FanDuel. Like, I defy people to find anybody outside of Houston who's picking the Texans right now. And I honestly really think that that's been a spot all season where they're like, oh man, the 49ers are the best team in the league. Loss. Oh my God, the Ravens are the best team in the league. Loss. Like, over and over again, we've seen it this season. And the recipe is kind of here too. So I was doing research for the game. Cleveland led the league this season with 37 giveaways. And I know people can say, oh, well, that's not all Joe Flacco. They had, PJ Walker and all this stuff. So Joe Flacco, 8 interceptions in 5 games. He also has a couple fumbles that he's lost. So it's not like he's come in and like settled down their turnover issue. If
he
anything,
just made it so that they can score points.
Yeah, he's kind of exacerbated it in a way with some of the throws that he's made. Matt, do you know who doesn't turn the ball over?
Houston.
The Houston Texans with their league low 14 giveaways. So you're talking about literally the team that gave the ball away the most this season versus the team that gave away the ball the least.
Yeah.
Like you said, CJ Stroud's back. They're playing good football. I like the Texans as an underdog here. And I think as the money continues to come in on the Browns, you might see this line shift a little bit from 2.5. But I'm taking Houston's money line this weekend.
There's going to be a lot of talk about Cleveland's defense, and deservedly so. And they have a lot of talent in their secondary, but I think we've also seen time and time again when you just have dudes on your wide receiver core, it almost doesn't matter who you go up against because those guys are going to get most of their underneath stuff and eventually they're going to break the big one. The only thing that's really stopped Nico Collins and Tank Dell all year is injuries.
I trust CJ Stroud to protect the ball, even against an admittedly good Cleveland defense. He only threw 5 interceptions this entire season while throwing for over 4,000 yards. Absolutely ridiculous rookie season. And I just think like every analyst is going to point to these things that like sound like they should matter, but don't. Like they're going to be like, Joe Flacco has the playoff experience edge over CJ Stroud. He's played in all these playoff games. And this is CJ Stroud's first one at home. How, like, outside of the one super magical run that Joe Flacco had, yeah, he's played in a lot of playoff games, not particularly well. He's never like honestly, the Elite Dragon meme with Joe Flacco is hilarious. And he has this one awesome run that's just gonna stand the test of time as the greatest run that a quarterback's ever had in the playoffs. But the thing that makes that so insane is that the vast majority of the time, he's an average to below average quarterback. So, like, you can tell me he has the experience edge. That's great. I don't know how much that actually matters in a wild card game. What I do think matters is that Houston has a better quarterback and a better coach. They don't turn the ball over while Cleveland is extremely sloppy with the football. Like, if the turnover margin in this game is, 4-1 or 3-1, Houston's 100% winning.
Yeah. It's extremely rare that teams win games when they lose the turnover battle by 1, let alone 2 or 3.
Yeah, I'm very locked in to the Texans in this game. And the more people, the more podcasts that pick the Browns, the more media people that pick the Browns, the more money that goes on the Browns on FanDuel, is just making me more and more confident that this is the correct pick.
No, I'm with you on this one.
I'm caught off guard. Matt always catches me off guard because I thought this was going to be more of like an argument. I was all geared up to pick the Browns to win this game when I thought it was going to be against Jacksonville. So I was like, oh man, Jacksonville. And then Doug Peterson and Jacksonville just finished. They finished the job on Sunday and blew a game to the Titans, which was a horrific loss considering that Ryan Tannehill was starting. And now that sucks for the Browns, man. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to go beat Jacksonville. I get to go into Baltimore next round and have like a cool Joe Flacco against the Ravens game. And not so much. Game 2, Miami at Kansas City. This is 8 p.m. on Saturday. Kansas City currently favored by 3.5. Matt, you've been one of my best friends for, I think, over 15 years now. You're like a brother to me, but I need to tell you something extremely disturbing. And I want you to know that I'm telling you this because I care about you and it comes from a good place. Matt, this game is on Peacock.
Yeah.
It was bad enough that night that you came over and the whatever game we wanted to watch was on Peacock. It was like a Saturday night football game.
Yeah.
How does Peacock keep getting games? How much did they pay the NFL for this game?
So much fucking money.
Oh my God. We joke all the time because the TV in our bedroom at our house, whenever you accidentally breathe on the remote wrong, it takes you to the Peacock homepage. And I'm like, I don't want Peacock. I'm not getting freaking Peacock. So I want us all to pull out our best pirate hats, our peg legs, our eye patches, because we're pirating the shit out of this game. I refuse to sign up for Peacock to watch a football game that's probably not going to be all that great anyway.
Nope.
Al Michaels died for this.
Yeah, seriously.
It's crazy. You used to have to do something really bad to get canceled in American culture. And now all you have to do is suggest that we don't see Taylor Swift after every play of a Chiefs game.
Yeah.
Not that I would ever suggest that, Taylor Swift fans. I would never say that we shouldn't see Taylor Swift after every single play. Don't cancel me from the playoffs. I want to do the podcast for the next couple of weeks, but man, I feel like this is all Al Michaels' fault somehow. He pissed off the Swifties, and then the NFL is like, we got to make up for the lost revenue. We're selling the game to Peacock.
They were like, all right, hold on. All the Swifties are going to watch the Chiefs game. Oh, I know. All of them will pay money for stupid shit anyways. Let's put it on Peacock.
It's actually a brilliant marketing ploy by Peacock if you think about it that way. They're like, how do we get the most viewers? We get to pick one football game from Wildcard Weekend. And they're like, I know. Let's get all of the Taylor Swift fans by picking the Chiefs game. It's funny because we've been talking about this game for a few minutes now and haven't mentioned football at all, which to me is just like the perfect summation of the Chiefs season.
Yeah.
It's everything but football. So I've been gearing up to pick against Kansas City in the wild card round for some time now with how their season has gone.
Mm-hmm.
All the distractions, that they've had problems on offense all season. They haven't been able to get it going. They just haven't been the same Chiefs team. Travis Kelce's old. None of their wide receivers could catch a pass. But I can't get there because it's the Miami Dolphins. And I think at this point, it's not even like a theory anymore. It's just a fact. It's like a law of nature that they cannot beat a good team.
Yeah. I think we went on the same journey here.
I looked it up out of morbid curiosity. So the combined record of all of the teams that Miami beat this year is 67 and 120. That's a 36% win percentage. The combined record of all of the teams that Miami lost to this season is 63 and 39. It's a 62% win percentage. Miami is just, to me, they've looked cooked for a couple weeks now. Jalen Phillips has been out. Bradley Chubb just tore his ACL in that horrible loss to the Ravens.
Yeah.
Waddle might not play. I think even if they had all those guys, I might not pick them with what we've seen from Miami against good teams this season, or at least against teams that are over 500.
Right.
But the current state of affairs, I'm nervous to pick against Patrick Mahomes at any time. And I'm not putting that faith in the Dolphins. I can't do it.
There was a point where they were kind of in the driver's seat to get themselves the 1 seed. And they're a wild card team right now. This wasn't that long ago. It would be one thing if I was talking about 8 weeks ago. So what, 4 weeks ago? Where they had total control of their destiny. And they're a wild card team now. That's all you need to know about this Dolphins team.
I think you kind of made the salient point a couple weeks ago on this podcast. When do we start blaming Mike McDaniel for this? They go out and they put up these awesome stats against bad teams. And they blow, the beginning of the season, they blow out Denver 70-20. And everybody's like, oh God, watch out. But when they have to play well-coached football teams or good football teams, not that Kansas City's even all that great right now, but you got Andy Reid, you got Patrick Mahomes in a pretty solid defense going into the playoffs. I have zero faith in Miami in this game. I don't think they're going to have a good enough game plan. I know Tyreek Hill's probably going to talk his shit this week and be like, okay, well, I didn't get him the first time. I'm going to get him this time. I have no faith in Tua to have a good enough game to win this game. And I don't think their game plan is going to be good enough to beat Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, plain and simple.
It's going to take a score off of special teams or something like that. Things that almost universally translate to a win. Other than that, I don't expect them to be able to execute offensively or defensively. I have a little bit more faith in the defense just because of Vic Fangio. He's been around the block. He knows how to put a game plan together, but at the end of the day, they're gonna have to go for 60 minutes and be consistent drive after drive and win that war of attrition with the Chiefs, and I don't think they're prepared to do that.
I just think it's going to be super difficult to beat Patrick Mahomes when your top two pass rushers are both hurt.
Yeah.
They're out. And there was a point where that defense was playing really well after Jalen Ramsey came back. But it's man, you got all these guys missing. Xavier Howard's banged up.
Mm-hmm.
When I thought the Bills were going to go into Kansas City in Wild Card Weekend, I was okay, I'll take the Bills over Kansas City. I got Josh Allen. I got things I can be confident in.
Yeah.
I needed something to help me get over this Mahomes bump of picking against the Chiefs. I'm okay, because The Chiefs are just that team where you pick against them, and then you're watching the game on Saturday or Sunday, and you're watching Mahomes like run around and buy extra time, and he finds like Noah Gray downfield for 35 yards, and you're just like, God damn it. Why did I pick against these guys? It's like instant regret. You're just like, God, why did I pick against Patrick Mahomes? I'm such an idiot. And so I need something on the other side to like give me that encouragement. Like, okay, like I know that if Patrick Mahomes starts doing crazy stuff, that Josh Allen can hold serve with him
Right.
on a good Josh Allen game. But I'm like, here, you're not going to get that much pressure on Mahomes. He's just going to kind of sit there and pick you apart. And I mean, maybe Kadarius Toney drops a pass for an interception and makes this a little bit closer. But yeah, I mean, I think from an on-field perspective, my pick is Kansas City.
I'm not confident in Miami's ability to pull this off, and they have to go on the road to do this too. Like that's a big difference. If they got to do this in Miami, maybe I could be talked into believing there's a feasible chance. But you're down your top two pass rushers. Howard's banged up. Maybe no Waddle. Like, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to have to go their way.
I'm going to tell you something I learned from years of being a Patriots fan. Anything can happen in that swampy hellhole they call Miami.
Yeah.
Hard Rock Stadium is just an absolute pit of hellfire and despair. And that's where good quarterbacks go to die. Like Josh Allen was bad there on Sunday. The Bills should not have won that game, but Miami was worse. So yeah, if it was in Miami, I could see something potentially happening, but yeah, no way. Not in Kansas City, not in this round of the playoffs. But I think the next round, like if Kansas City does win this game, the next round is going to be super interesting because they would go to Buffalo, most likely, assuming Buffalo wins their game. Has Patrick Mahomes ever played a road playoff game? I don't think he has.
No.
So that's probably going to be his first one. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Game 3, Sunday, 1 p.m. It's kind of funny that they did all 3 AFC games first. They're like, we're going to do the AFC, and then they didn't mix it up at all. It's Pittsburgh at Buffalo. Pittsburgh making the playoffs by virtue of the Jags losing as well. The Bills are favored by 10. And I just look at this and I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I keep hearing that Buffalo is like super hot right now. And like, that's the team nobody wants to play. They're like getting hot at the right time. It's all coming together for the Buffalo Bills. Has anybody watched the Buffalo Bills for the last month? I feel like we're not all watching the same thing. Like, am I turning on something else? Because like their last 3 games, they beat the Chargers by 2. They beat the Pats by 6 points in New England in a game where the turnover margin was 4-1 in favor of Buffalo. And then they beat this like half dead Miami team, and they have to get a punt return touchdown to do it because Josh Allen is like not playing great. But the way that everybody's talking about them, it's like they're just smoking everyone, winning every game by 30. Nobody stands a chance against these Buffalo Bills, Matt.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what good football looks like, right?
I mean, I get they've won 5 games in a row, but like, Josh Allen's kind of back to turning the ball over a lot. He's had, those 3 games I just talked about. He had 5 turnovers, part of why those games were so close.
Yeah, they kind of threw away the whole, hey, let's really run the ball thing.
Just right back to classic Bills.
They had one game and they're like, yeah, this is gross. Let's never do that again.
I mean, right now, I don't trust the Buffalo Bills to cover a sneeze, much less like a 10-point line.
No.
But then on the other side, it was announced that TJ Watt is out for this game.
Yeah.
And as good as Pittsburgh's been lately, without TJ Watt, this is like it's a completely different franchise
Yeah.
altogether. So I don't really love the line either way. Like I'm probably gonna stay away from betting 10 points because like I can see the outcome where the Bills win this game 45-10. Or I can see the outcome where like, like last year when Miami went to Buffalo and Skylar Thompson had to play. And
Yep.
it's like 22-20 Buffalo in the fourth quarter and Pittsburgh has the ball. And we're all like, oh, dude, is Mason Rudolph and Pittsburgh gonna do this in Buffalo? And like they don't, and Buffalo escapes, but like we're all like, God, thought Buffalo was such a hot fireball of a team coming into the playoffs.
Yeah. No, that's sports media for you.
Yeah. I mean, to give credit where credit's due, though, Mason Rudolph is Pittsburgh's best quarterback. Like from what we've seen from him the last couple of weeks and how this team's looked with him at quarterback, he's better than Kenny Pickett. He's a hell of a lot better than Mitch Trubisky. And I almost wonder if Mike Tomlin, like, should they consider firing Mike Tomlin because it took him this long to figure out he should be starting Mason Rudolph?
I think my only question is like, okay, how much of what we're seeing from Mason Rudolph is that like changing quarterback effect that we saw with Dobbs? Mason Rudolph hadn't been playing all year, right? So no one was really ready to play him. And then he's just in there and okay, like it's better. Still not good, but
The real answer has been the new offensive coordinator is kind of coming into his own. The running game's been a lot
yeah,
better. They've kind of unleashed George Pickens a little
yeah,
bit, so it's been better, but it's still like no matter what you do, if you don't have TJ Watt for this game, I'm not picking you.
no, no chance.
If they had him, maybe, I would start thinking about it, but no TJ Watt. You got to go to Buffalo. I don't love it. I don't love
Yeah,
it for them. Good for Mike Tomlin for keeping his like winning record thing
yeah,
going and making another playoff game. The Pittsburgh's had like a winning record for some insane amount of seasons in a row now.
yeah.
It hurts my feelings. Watch my team suck.
There's a number of those the last few seasons that's only the case because of TJ Watt.
Well, we've done multiple times on this podcast what their record with and without TJ Watt over the last couple of seasons is.
Yeah,
And it is stark. It is a
yeah,
stark contrast with and without him. So in the AFC, we're both picking the Texans, the Bills, and the Chiefs to advance.
yep.
The real bet on this podcast should have been, are we going to pick anything different than each other? Because we didn't share the picks before the podcast. This is
Nope.
always what happens is I'm like, oh man, I'm going to like do something crazy and pick Houston in the first game. And Matt and I will debate between Cleveland and Houston, who's going to win.
And
And
just it's a lockstep.
it's either lockstep or you one up me where I'm like, Houston's going to win by 10. You're like, Houston's going to win by 21. And I start like pushing back. And now all of a sudden I'm defending Cleveland. And I'm like, I never meant to defend Cleveland.
Never defend Cleveland. Never defend the state of Ohio.
Game 4, 4:30 on Sunday, the Matt Hughesian game of the week. Your two favorite teams match up as the Green Bay Packers visit the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, Matt. I can't believe that this actually happened.
Am I allowed to pick against both teams?
I pick the Meteor. You got to give me credit where credit's due. I picked Green Bay at the beginning of the season to make the playoffs. We thought we were going to be sitting here like 18 weeks later and you're going to be able to just trash me and make fun of me. But here we are, Matt. Dallas Cowboys, Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, no, I really should have, but the NFC is complete and utter fucking garbage. It's so bad.
It's funny because my reasoning for picking the Packers kind of came true as well, where I was like, yeah, I really think that like 9 or 10 wins could get this wild card spot. Because if you go back and listen to the preseason picks pod, I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I'm kind of between like the Packers, the Saints. Like there was a couple teams I mentioned that are going to be around like 8, 9, 10 wins. Really, what I said was that I thought the Packers were going to be better this season because Aaron Rodgers was gone, and I thought Jordan Love was going to be good. Matt, I know you haven't accepted Jordan's love into your life yet, but I think that if it was any other quarterback, like any quarterback that puts up over 4,000 yards, 32 touchdowns while only throwing 11 interceptions, completing 64% of their passes in their first year as a starter, like I don't understand why people aren't going more insane over what Jordan Love did this season. If a rookie came in and put in those numbers, we would be saying that he's going to be the next Tom Brady. Instead, people are still kind of like, I don't really know about Jordan Love. Jordan Love is good.
Over under 1.5 interceptions for Deron Wynn in this game.
All the way over.
Yeah.
That...
Like there you go. There's that's why.
My Jordan Love stock is at an all-time high, and I still don't feel confident for him to go in and Green Bay to be able to keep up with Dallas in this game.
I mean, you and I pretty much all year have been talking about the formula for beating Dallas. It's a pretty simple formula. And well, Green Bay doesn't have it. They're not a team that runs the ball particularly well.
Which, can I just say I don't understand that? More accurately, I don't understand AJ Dillon as a football player. How, like, with the pure size of this man's quads, how can
Yeah.
he not gain at least 4 yards per carry? I would think every single carry, this guy should be getting like at least 6 yards, right? It just feel like he's just not that good. I don't understand that because I liked AJ Dillon coming out in college. We had him on our dynasty league and traded him away for a future pick.
Which was the right call.
Yeah, it's the right call because but it shouldn't be. This should be a guy that you want in dynasty. Like, Aaron Jones is played a really good game against the Bears
Yeah.
on Sunday. But like he's getting older.
Mm-hmm.
This should be AJ Dillon's backfield, and yet I'm just like, I don't know, man. I thought that he had a chance to be like more of a Derrick Henry type of guy, like punishing runner, and he's just not what I thought he was going to be.
Okay, so they haven't run the ball well this year. It's possible they find creative ways to get Aaron Jones the ball enough to where their offense gives them a shot. Okay, so like let's go to the defensive side of the ball. What are they doing about CeeDee Lamb? Jair Alexander doesn't travel. They don't travel him with him because he's not capable of keeping up with guys like CeeDee Lamb. Okay, maybe they'll put up some points, but they're not going to keep pace because he's going to be running. CeeDee Lamb's going to be running around the defensive backfield wide open.
It's funny. I actually wrote it. Like, not only are we in lockstep on the picks, but I literally wrote down, I hate to simplify it, but how is Green Bay going to stop CeeDee Lamb? Like the game doesn't come down to one thing, but also if CeeDee Lamb has 250 yards, the game kind of comes down to one thing.
Yeah.
Like you got to stop the other team's best player. And I think we've reached the point in the season where we can say that CeeDee Lamb is the Dallas Cowboys' best player.
Yeah.
Right? Like he is second in receiving yards this season, first in receptions, and second in receiving touchdowns behind Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans. And he's been on a tear the last couple games. Like he kind of got off to a slow start this season, but he's been annihilating people. And I see that happening in this game as well. Can I give you a super misleading stat?
Go for it.
Over the last 3 games of the season, Green Bay was number 1 in the NFL in offense and number 3 in defense. And I keep seeing people point to like, oh man, we're hot right now. We're going to go in. We're going to upset Dallas like Dallas always gets upset. So I saw that stat and I was like, oh, that's actually kind of impressive. Let me go see who they played. Carolina, Minnesota, Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing for Dallas, though, like I was thinking about this today. Dallas's road to the NFC Championship could be so soft depending on what happens this weekend. So you have Green Bay at home, the worst wild card. Like, say the Rams beat the Lions and like Tampa wins or something like that. Your second game could be Tampa at home. And then you would go and play, either the Rams or the 49ers or whatever. Or if the Lions can win, you get the super vengeful Motor City Kitties coming into your stadium in NFL divisional weekend. So
Yeah.
the road could either be a lot easier or a lot harder depending on what happens this weekend. But the fact that they could even potentially have like an easier road, it all comes back to that stupid Brad Allen call.
Yeah.
Because if the Lions win that game, which they rightfully should have, they're at home for Green Bay this weekend and don't have to worry about like Matt Stafford and all those guys coming in. And then you get the home game in round 2. So we said this was going to happen a couple of weeks ago, is that this whole playoff thing was going to get a little fucky with Brad Allen like making that call. And now we're seeing the results of it. And depending on what happens this weekend, it could get a whole lot worse. Because I swear to God, if Dallas gets to play Green Bay and then Tampa Bay because of Brad Allen, then I'm just not going to be happy on the podcast. I don't know what I was going to say there. I was like, I swear to God, I'm just going to be mad.
Look, we know that the NFL does suspect stuff. And with Dallas having had the record that it had this year, they definitely had financial stakes in making sure that they have a little bit of a run this year. It is what it is, but like they've shown themselves who they are. Like once they come up against a team that's going to punch them in the mouth, like they will crumble. That team's life preserver right now really is CeeDee Lamb. To kind of go back to that game, didn't hear nearly as much about Micah Parsons in that game as you would expect out of someone who's supposed to be like the best edge rusher in football. CeeDee Lamb is the only guy in that team where I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that.
So I won't outright say that the NFL rigged this.
I will.
I was going to say, I'll leave that to you. But what I will say is I think the NFL is extremely excited about the playoff schedule for Wildcard Weekend. So you have like Green Bay and Dallas is the classic logos, two teams that have big followings. It's going to be, the ratings will be insane on Sunday. You got the Detroit Lions and Matt Stafford game on primetime on Sunday Night Football. And then you kind of set up for round 2, Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen.
Yep.
Maybe the Lions and Dallas revenge game. If not, Matt Stafford going into the 49ers. I think they're very happy with how this played out. And it all, at least in the NFC, ties back to that Brad Allen call, the wrongful call on the 2-point conversion. So it's very sketchy because it was very beneficial for the NFL to have it play out this way.
Yeah.
But I'll let Matt say they rigged it.
Because they did.
So I'm picking Dallas. Where are you going? You're going Dallas?
No, I'm picking Dallas. Green Bay's not a good team.
But they have a good quarterback. For now.
They have a good defensive front.
Just your life is going to be so much better when you just accept Jordan's love. I don't understand why you hate him so much.
I don't need love.
So is next season like Trey Lance's breakout season? Is that where we're heading, where I'm suddenly just right about all quarterbacks?
That would be something.
We're going to be doing this podcast in like 7 years, and I'm going to be like, I still believe in you, Trey. I still have my Trey Lance stock. All right, game.
I do think that like Trey Lance breaking out next year would be hilarious because that would mean that something happened with Dak.
Or like he could get traded or something, but it would just mean that for
They
all
gave up a fourth round pick for him. They're not just trading him for nothing.
that's fair. That it would just mean that for all future quarterbacks that I say I like in the draft, that we have to wait 4 to 5 years. I really like him 4 years from now. It's 2 years away from being 2 years away. All right, game 5, the actual Matt Hughesian game of the week.
Pain.
Sunday Night Football, 8:15. The LA Rams, led by Matt Stafford, coming back to Detroit to play the Motor City Kitties. Detroit favored by 3.5. We called this weeks ago. This was the number one game that was drafted in the what games do you want to see during Wildcard Weekend draft. And I told you at the time that if we get this game, it will 100% be in the Sunday Night Football slot because this is like the big slot. All jokes aside, do you feel ready for this game? Like, where are your emotions at?
I don't know that I can ever be ready for this game. Like I said, there's a lot of nuance in how I feel here. Yes, I want the win. Yes, I want the Lions to sack Stafford and intercept his passes and all that stuff. But what I can't understand is some of the kind of thought on Stafford in the Lions internet space where they're basically saying like if you're like excited to see him play and be like still like have love and appreciation for him, then like you are not accepting Goff, like you're basically hung up on your ex, and it's like, no. This guy gave us 12 years, is literally the reason why this franchise is where it is. Because they would not be a 12-5 team right now if not for him saying, hey, I want to be traded. Because he was in his mid-30s coming off of basically a broken back a couple years ago and didn't want to wait another 3 years in a rebuild.
What's wrong with being hung up on your ex quarterback?
Yeah.
I love you, Tom. For people that can't see my facial expressions, because this is an audio platform, I have a Tom Brady jersey literally hanging up right next to me.
Yeah.
I looked at it longingly.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it's okay. I'm getting my next quarterback soon, Matt. Very soon.
JJ McCarthy.
I will. Man, this is a tangent here, but Matt and I are going to the draft because it's in Detroit and it's like free entry. So I don't know if we're going to be at the draft or we're just going to be down there at a bar or whatever. Anyway, we're going to be in the general vicinity. If we pick JJ McCarthy with the third pick, I was going to say I'll jump out the window, but I don't know if like the fall from those buildings is enough to kill me. I'm not going to get into the whole debate that we had through text right now, but all I want to say is that Michigan won the national championship and JJ McCarthy is the goddamn kid for your school project who did none of the work and still got an A. I don't like him as an NFL prospect.
That's objectively wrong because he made plays against both Ohio State and Alabama where they don't win unless he makes NFL throws.
He threw like 200 passes this season. I don't like it.
Yeah. Look, I'm not saying there isn't a risk going with a guy that like has a lower passing value because you have less to go off of. That's still there, but to basically say like, oh, well, nope, like no way when like that wasn't his, like to use that as like marking his grade down. I don't think that's fair. I think you like use that as a tiebreaker based on what you see. But like I said, he's probably going to be like QB4 in the draft, which is still going to be in this draft, probably top 15. And that's probably about where he should be.
We'll finish this conversation during draft season. I'd have him lower than QB4, but there's a lot of research to be done. Anyway, if we go to the draft and we pick JJ McCarthy and pass up on like Jaden Daniels or Drake May and Marvin Harrison Jr., whoever's there, I don't think I'll make it back home.
I'll get your corpse back home.
Yeah, please. Tell my wife I love her. I heard a very sad statement about this Rams and Lions game the other day. Or someone is getting their first playoff win at Ford Field. Yeah. Either the Lions or Matt Stafford.
Yep.
So I know there's a lot of emotion going on in Detroit. I think it's funny and maybe it's just because I live in Metro Detroit, but the coverage of this game is all about Matt Stafford coming back and playing his old team.
Yep.
And what kind of gets lost here is that Jared Goff is playing his old team as well. And his old coach that he went to a Super Bowl with.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I know he already made his like LA homecoming or whatever, and that he's certainly not beloved in LA like he is in Detroit. Or that he's not beloved in LA like Matt Stafford is in Detroit. But
he's playing against the coach whose wife he said he'd fight.
I mean, go out there and earn it, Goff. I think it's funny. Do you think like Matt Stafford and Jared Goff are more beloved in Detroit than they are in LA?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's kind of weird.
The moment that the Rams go like 9-8, LA doesn't give a shit about them. Because there's better shit to do in LA than root for a mediocre team.
I'm super torn on this pick. This was the hardest game for me to pick. We haven't heard anything about Sam Laporta's status.
The last I heard, he has an outside chance to play, but I'm not gonna count on it.
I can't imagine that if he does, it's going to be a full workload. He's not going to be 100%. That injury that sucks, man. It's like, I know you want to win that game on Sunday on the off chance that Dallas and Philly both lose in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But it's like, of course, someone gets hurt. You decide to play the guys, and like, of course, someone gets hurt. It's the Lions. The thing that worries me for the Lions is that they were 27th versus the pass this year. And they were dead last over their last three. But CJ is back, which should help.
Mm-hmm. The pass rush has gotten better the last like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
A lot better.
But like looking at LA, they were super hot. And a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about them as like, I was like, this is the team that I don't want to play.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody says that about the Bills. I feel that way about LA. They cooked Cleveland 36-19. They give Baltimore all they can handle, go to overtime and lose on that punt return. But then they go and have that Giants game. And the Giants game was so awful. The 26-25 win at the Giants. It's so bad. And I can't get over it. I was thinking about this because I was like, man, like the Ravens game ended on a punt return touchdown. The Giants game, the Giants should have beat them. And they had that big punt return touchdown by Gunnar Oswalski, former Patriot great. The Rams special teams are so bad. They're negative 9.2% DVOA, which is dead last in the league. The second worst team is Green Bay, who is negative 3.2%. So it's a 6% gap between the Rams and Green Bay. 6% in DVOA is also the same difference between Green Bay, who's the second worst special teams, and Baltimore, who's the third best special teams. It's that bad.
Yeah.
That's how much worse they are than everyone else in the league at special teams. This might be the worst special teams unit that we have ever seen. And like you said, a massive special teams play, a kick return touchdown, a punt return touchdown, a
Hmm.
blocked field goal, whatever,
A muff punt.
muff is almost a guaranteed win for the other side.
Yeah.
So I was like, I kind of came in thinking I was going to pick LA before I started breaking everything down. And I cannot get over the special teams. Like Detroit's kind of middle of the pack special teams, but like the Rams are so horrific on special teams that I almost don't understand how they won 10 games this season.
I mean, it just kind of adds to the laundry list of items where I kind of look at Sean McVay and I'm like, dude, you've really lost your shine.
Well, it's like he has, but he hasn't because he's got this team with all these, like, they just had an awesome draft, right? With
Yeah,
no
they
first.
did.
And then
Right.
they have a great season with like old vets and all these like awesome draft
Right.
picks. So
But then he takes his older quarterback and refuses to run the ball and gets him pummeled, and they lose games that way. And that they can't have a functional special teams unit, let alone a good one, just a functional one. There's a lot more to being a head coach than designing your offense
eh,
and picking who you play,
not in
who you
LA.
draft.
Not in LA. There's better. You just said it. There's better things to do in LA.
Exactly.
Fucking what do you want to do? Go coach special teams or you want to go to an awesome party at Ryan
Yeah.
Gosling's house? Come on. I was still very torn on this. I think if I would have made this pick 2 to 3 weeks ago, that I would pick the Rams, especially with Laporta out. But I am going to pick the Motor City Kitties, and I'm gonna feel bad about. I feel like no matter who I pick, I was gonna feel bad about it.
Yep.
When I'm watching the game on Sunday, and you guys are up 4, and Matt Stafford gets the ball with 2 minutes and 37 seconds left and 2 timeouts, I'm just gonna be like very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Welcome to my world.
Yeah, this is where this is heading. Like, God, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a 3.5 point spread. And if I bet it, I'll probably bet the Rams to cover because I don't see it being more than like a 3 point game, but I know the Rams aren't hitting that field goal. No way.
Yeah. No, I'm taking the Lions. Uh I don't think I'm touching the spread. I If I do anything, I'm just gonna take the Lions money line. The only thing that worries me, because I mean, I think the Lions are the better team. I think they're better coached. And I think with what happened in Dallas, they are much more focused. What scares me is I watched Matthew Stafford for 12 years in Detroit, and nobody, nobody hits those just absolute backbreaker throws that have no business being completed like Stafford.
I think
And that's like what I worry about seeing happen.
if you told me you have 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, you have like 1 or 2 timeouts, you're down 4. So you got to go get a touchdown. You can have any quarterback in the history of the NFL to lead your offense. I think Matt Stafford might be the number 2 guy I would take.
Yeah.
I think number 1 is obviously Nathan Peterman. No, no, obviously I'm taking Tom Brady, the GOAT first. And then I'm like, I got like Peyton Manning and Drew Brees. But just with how clutch Stafford's been, I might take Stafford in that spot. And he's done it on the biggest stage, going back to the Super Bowl now, too. So, yeah, I'm not excited to pick the Lions. That's for sure. But we're doing it. We have one more game. Matt, we're going to pick the same 6 teams. I already know this because now we're 5 for 5. Monday Night Football, the cash grab part of Super Wildcard Weekend. Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I've seen Philly favored by 3 and Philly favored by 2.5, depending on where you're looking. I didn't really feel like this should be the Monday Night Football game, but
Nope.
like, okay, might go to bed early on Monday. I've been saying for weeks now that Tampa Bay was going to beat Philly in the playoffs. Like
Yeah.
on this podcast, I've been talking about it. I was like, this is a bad matchup for Philly. If you get good Baker Mayfield, he can throw the ball. They got receivers, blah, blah, blah. But now that we're here and I have to make a pick, this is starting to remind me of the Vikings fiasco from last season, where we were just adamant for weeks. We're like, the Vikings are losing in the first round. The Vikings are losing in the first round. And then when you get there, it's like, yeah, but it's the Giants. Are the Giants really going to win a playoff game? Yeah. And we kind of hemmed and hawed on it. And I picked the Vikings to win. And then I watched them lose. And I swore at myself up and down on my couch because I knew what was going to happen. And I wimped out. I've been saying the Bucs are going to beat them for weeks. But then, like this past weekend, the Bucs are in a must-win game, and they can only beat the stupid Mad Cats 9-0 at home. So I feel like I should just make the pick and just be like, I know this is going to happen. I've been saying it's going to happen, but I'm confused now.
Can you live with yourself for getting it wrong to pick a team that's lost 5 of their last 6 games?
I can live with myself in any situation except for if the Patriots draft JJ McCarthy at 3. That's the one situation. No, I know that's what the next thing in my notes say is that Philly has absolutely cratered, going 1-5 in their last 6. They look completely lost on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of games that you have to have, Philly needed to beat the Giants on Sunday, and they needed Dallas to lose to win the NFC East, but they're playing at the same time. And yet you come out and you get smacked by the Giants. You let Tyrod Taylor throw for 300 yards on you. Like, I think they're just at the point where they're completely broken. And the thing that's holding me back is the same thing that we talk about from time to time, where it's like you have these preconceived notions dating back to the beginning of the season of like, this is going to be a good team this year. They are a Super Bowl contender. They have all of this talent. But we got to get over it.
Yeah.
Because like how we felt 18, 14, 12, 10 weeks ago about a team is not who the team is sitting here on Super Wildcard Cash Grab Weekend.
We need to move past the preseason shit.
Yeah. I do think there's a version of this game where we get bad Baker, and just seeing bad Baker Mayfield go up against this Philadelphia defense. What happens when a stoppable force meets a movable object? Find out on Monday Night Football. And it's just like an awful Monday Night Football game. And it's like 11-6 somehow. And we're like, God, this is this is a tough watch. But
yeah, for real.
If you get good Baker in this game, then I think Philly's cooked and the crater is done and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, that secondary has been awful all year. You're going to have a really hard time convincing me that they're suddenly going to be able to cover Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And Rachaad White coming out of the backfield.
Yeah, I would be a little bit more comfortable if Tampa could run the ball a little bit better, but
that is their run game, though.
Yeah, we also talked about Tampa kind of having some championship DNA of their own.
Mm-hmm.
From when they won the Super Bowl, there's a lot of pieces.
Hasn't been that long.
Yeah, well, I mean, Evans, Godwin, Antoine Winfield, both linebackers.
Yeah, most of the defensive line.
White and David, yeah. So, okay. So are we picking all 6 of the same teams? Are you going Tampa?
Yeah.
I'm going Tampa. We did this not last year, but the year before. We had all 6 of the same teams, and we went 6-0. If one team is going to screw us from going 6-0 this weekend, who is your pick?
That's a good question. You like Chiefs?
That's a good pick.
Yeah, because I just say that because like we picked them not because we believe in them, but because we don't believe in the other team. And they found ways to lose games earlier this year.
My pick is the Dallas Cowboys, just because
I
we,
thought hard about that one,
we've
but
talked we've talked about like before. It's just like, okay, when we get to the playoffs, who are we going to pick against? We're going to pick against the Cowboys. We're going to pick against the Vikings, the Chargers. My only regret for Super Wildcard Weekend is that we can't bet against the Vikings and the Chargers.
yeah,
Kind of pisses me off. But Dallas is here, and if anybody's gonna like just absolutely shit the bed, it's gonna be them,
yeah,
right? Like I think the public play that's gonna lose is the Browns, where people are just like, "Oh my god, I can't believe the Browns lost." And then we're sitting here next week. We're like, yeah, I don't know. If you listen to the podcast, we told you take the Houston Texans money line.
yeah.
But like Dallas is going to be the team where we're just like, I mean, do you really believe in Dallas as a contender?
Oh no.
No, right? Neither do I. Don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl either. I don't think they're that good. And like, it's like you said about Kansas City, we're not really picking them because we believe in them. We don't really
Yeah,
believe in the other team. So,
exactly.
all right. Bolds and Scolds from week 18 of the NFL season. We're running long, so this is going to be the lightning round where you say your pick, you get like one or two lines to explain it, and then we're going on to the next one.
Yep.
You can go first with your bold.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. No explanation.
Big game on Sunday. Uh, my bold is Jameis Winston, because fuck the Falcons. If you know, you know. Who is your scold?
For for no real reason. I just feel like saying it. Sean McVay, you ignorant slut.
Beautiful. My scold is the Patriots. Actually, this is I'm gonna take more than two lines real quick, but I just make a fucking decision. I guess that's it. I guess that's the line. It's just scold Patriots, make a fucking decision. We're all just sitting here waiting to see if they're going to fire Belichick or not. And my fear is that they're going to wait too long to make a decision and then fire him. And then we need to get like a GM and a coach, and a lot of the good candidates are already gone.
But fire him after Mike Vrabel gets hired.
Yeah, no, that's exactly my concern is like they're Vrabel's going to get hired by like the Commanders, and then we're going to be like, okay, yeah, we're going to move on. And it's like, oh, great. We can pick from chode coach Arthur Smith and like whoever else is out there. Like Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel will be gone and my dreams will be dashed. But that is it for us. As always, Fouled Out can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Pocket Cast, Overcast, anywhere you get your podcast. You can hit us up on Twitter at Fouled Out Sports. You can find Matt on Twitter at Matador_defense. You can find our videos on TikTok at Fouled Out Sports Podcast. It's a long name, but you can't miss it. Matt, I always throw the Twitter tags out there, but like with how horrible things are getting over there, can people really find us on Twitter?
Not very often.
Here, do this instead. Email us. We have a Gmail account set up, fouledOutsports@gmail.com. We really appreciate all you guys listening and sticking with us through the entire NFL season. We would love to get your feedback on the podcast. What's working for you? What's not? I swear to God, it is not a spam email address. I will personally email you back. You're not going to get like a freaking newsletter talking about how the Patriots waited too long to hire their GM and we hired some idiot who thought drafting JJ McCarthy at 3 was going to be a good idea.
Okay, you might actually get that.
We might. You're going to get my manifesto. After that happens, that's what you're all going to get if you email us at fouledOutsports@gmail.com. No sane person has ever written a manifesto. When a sane person writes a manifesto, it's called an autobiography. But after we pick JJ McCarthy at 3, I'm writing a goddamn manifesto. I need to stop joking about it because I'm going to unintentionally meme it into existence.
Yep, exactly.
I don't want to do that. Like, in all honesty, the Patriots have landed at 3. I'm okay with this. I think it's like kind of crazy because it's always been a 3-player draft. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr. was like the elite 3. And like all of a sudden over the weekend, Jaden Daniels is now it's like a 4-player draft. Even though Jaden Daniels did literally nothing over the weekend, it's just like, hey, this is a 4-player draft. So I won't be mad, I think, if we draft him, but I gotta do my research before I really officially make that claim.
Always do your research.
All right, my friend, enjoy the games this weekend. I'll be here for emotional support through text message, I'm sure, on Sunday night.
I don't know if anyone can handle that.
And then we will see you guys next week, Wednesday, to break down the NFL divisional games and maybe have a little bit longer of a Bold and Scold from the wildcard weekend. So
for sure.
All right, buddy. I'll see you soon.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Bye, Mom.
Bye, Robin.